It is wonderful to be here. Hello, welcome to another interview. It's Sigrid Cast here, Sticky Beak Marketing, and I work with coaches and consultants to get their book out there, particularly if they want to build their business further, attract new clients. And I have with me the wonderful Kez Wickham St George. I hope I said that correctly now.
You did.
Wonderful. Welcome to the interview today. And I really am interested to hear, how did you get into being an author and helping authors with the process of getting their book out, published?
Wow. Long time ago, when I was very young, I was given a challenge. And how it happened was I was up to my elbows in dishwashing water and being a mum and a busy housewife, and a dear friend came in and said, why are you waiting? How did you put it? Why are you waiting for the world to contact you? You've got to get out there. Because I was always writing bits and pieces, always helping the neighbourhood kids with their stories, especially my own. And my two little girls then, they hated bringing their English lit homework home, because they knew mum would have a ball with it. I'd write these stories. And so, so I took that big step, and I went back to a day, it was a day's course in writing, got hooked within the day, and a year later ended up with a entry into a English lit, like a university for being a teacher. Excuse me. And then it just went from there.
Yeah.
When I finally got a job teaching, I just fell in love with writing and how a writer can bring you into their own world of inspiration or aspiration or imagination. And it just fascinates me how we've all got so many different brains going on at once. I don't often read a story that's exactly the same. It might be the same genre, but it's never the same words. And it just fascinates me.
And that's interesting, isn't it? How everybody has got a different approach to something, to a topic, to an idea, and to really get that out is unique to each person, and often it is for the person themselves. And I just compare that, for example, to running a business. Often it is easier to see what's happening in someone else's business than in yours. And when you're writing a book, it is so much easier to have that person from the outside guide you through the steps, rather than you're trying to do it all yourself, I think. So I just want to clarify, you are helping both fiction and non-fiction writers, but you are very much on the fiction scale, because you yourself are a bit of a poetry writer. Did I get that right? And you just talked about storytelling.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's that real creativity, Kez, that you have in you, and that you're particularly bringing out in writers.
I believe so. I believe that I'm more tuned into fiction. I do help a majority of writers in all different genres, but I'm very tuned into fiction and poetry, creative writing of all sorts. Just it rules my world.
So we have a number of lovely fiction writers in the group. So what's a tip, just off the top of your head, a tip for those writers? Now, they love writing and they have all different genres that I have seen, so I can't kind of pick one off the top of my head now, but is there something that they should really know about in fiction writing that is absolute key before they start?
Research.
Absolutely
a must. Research.
Right.
Yes.
And when you say research what? Their genre or writing in general? What would you say they need to?
Well, you need to, if you're going to just say you're writing about a man that's dug a water well, right? And he's a water diviner. Let's find out more for your own interest, so you can add the interest to the story about water divining. Let's add more of research to whereabouts he was. Is there water in that area? There's nothing worse than having a review that says, I've been there, it doesn't exist.
Now, you know what? That just reminded me straight away of when you watch movies and they talk about writers, that are doing extensive research, particularly historical, when they write historical type, stories, novels, that sort of thing. The research with that obviously is important, but I'm hearing from you that any story needs to be researched because you could easily make a mistake. Wow.
Yeah, I think so. Unless it's your own bio, then you can't make a mistake, can you? It's your life. But
Of course.
we, we never know. But I just find if you want, even fiction needs to come across as authentic. Even fairy tales, they have a base to them. They have a solid base. They need to come across as that well or that tree or that fairy did exist. And so do your research, let's look into it a little bit more. It gives the reader your grounding.
Fantastic. So that's the key, the first thing that they absolutely do.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I can see the point of that one. Yes. I guess the other question then is, how are they going to get this book out there? Being a fiction, being a novel, a story of something, how do they get that out there? Where's the best place for them to look at bringing it to their audience?
Once they've worked with me and we've gone through the format of formatting a book, which is so important. Before you approach anybody, you've got to have your book formatted. And let's face it, you need a professional editor that makes your book shine. They really do. You can't go past a good, strong editor. And I have 2 or 3 in the stable. And then there's your publisher. Let's pick out one that gels with you, because you need to be able to talk to your publisher. You, like today, I had a conversation with mine. Dear so and so, when is my book going to be published? Because I've been waiting for ages and ages. And she went, into the month. That's how simple it was. Keep your directives simple and honest, but make sure that you have a connection to your coach, to your consultant, and they will lead you on. So once a person stays with me and we get them to the publishing stage and we say, oh, okay, you finished your book and it's looking fabulous. Now, I'm not an editor, I'm not a proofreader, but as I go through the story, I'm experienced to pick up where they're going wrong. So I will guide them, and then we hand it over. Now, it might be another 6 months before, not even that. If your publisher is clever and they have the editors on board and they have everything on board, and they say, right, we'll take you on board. That's how it all begins. It's like, you've got to have someone there. That's why we're coaches. That's why we're consultants, to guide that person on that one pathway that's going to get published.
And that's right. There's so much to it, particularly when it's the time that they have an experience that they need to learn about and go through.
Yes.
That whole path there. So is there, in your opinion, an advantage or a disadvantage, particularly for fiction writers, to use the self-publishing path versus the publisher path?
I've done both. Self-publishing to me was hard and very distracting to what I want to do. I'm a writer.
Yeah.
That's all. All the fancy hats you wear, I'm a writer. So, excuse me. When I went self-publishing, I found it distracting and hard. But on the equal scale of things, some people love that. Yeah. Some people love the journey, because it's very, it's very detailed. With Amazon or any self-publishing firm you go to. Some people come to me and say, I've written my book, I have a look through it, but I don't want a publisher and I don't want to go self-publishing, and they just want to be printed. So off to a printer we go, because there's many printers out there that will format it for you. As long as they don't edit, they don't proofread, they format it. So that's number 2. Number 3 is publishing with a publisher. What a dream. I just send my book off and I just sit back and start another one. Apart from my coaching days, I just sit back and think, phew, it's gone. She might get back to me and say, you can do better, if she's had a quick read. But that's happened maybe once. Yeah. And I've been a published writer for 20 years. So it's been that's the journey for me and for me. But for other people, there's 3 other pathways that I know of that are very open. And I wouldn't go self-publishing again. But as I said, there are people out there that love that pathway and go for it.
Yeah, that's right. I think it is depends on what the person's looking for and what they want to put into it themselves in terms of learning about the variations of it. So what I'm hearing is when an author has got a publisher is accepted to publish it there with their fiction book, it's really good to stay in contact with that person, create that relationship so
Oh,
that
yes.
they, can always be at the source for questions and so on, and establish their path for future books as well. Because when you're writing fiction, you always have another idea, I imagine.
Of course you do. Yes, you do. Yeah. And the good thing about building a relationship with another, whether it's your consultant or a publisher, is they know you.
Yeah. Okay.
And when they come back to you, if they do, again, you think, oh, look, I know the genre she writes in, it's fabulous. Or your publisher can say to you, well, okay, book number 2, when's it coming? Or they might show such an interest. And this is where a publisher also shines bright, is they might show an interest in your book and say, can we sign a contract for 2 books?
Wow, right. Okay. So when you are with a publisher, are you locked into that publisher only for the book they take on or for longer term?
All depends on you. I just signed a contract for 3 years. Now, within that 3 years, I can bring out 60 books if I want to.
Okay.
So it's 3 years I've signed up for. And I've got to be honest, I pay for that privilege too. But it's not huge. It's not a huge thing that you pay for. You've got 3 years. But I've bought out there's 3 books being published within the first year.
Yeah, great. So there are differences that people really should research as well as researching on their topic, because there are multi-layers of things that go into the entire process.
That's right.
Yes. So you've got your writing process where really you want to have somebody holding your hand and guiding you through, and you want to know what publishing path is the best one for you. And then of course, from a marketing perspective, where I have that strong point, you really want to make sure, from my perspective, that you think about the marketing before you start, because it also plays a big part in how you're writing and how you're publishing your book.
Yes.
So they're all intertwined, aren't they?
They are very much so. I mean, marketing to me, I used to work in the marketing world very long time ago. Marketing to me is almost important as getting published, because if you've got a clued on publisher, she will know how to market you. But it's not just up to her. It's not just her job. It's up to you as well. And there's so many platforms out there, like today, what we're doing, so many platforms that you can do a little wee video, or if you don't like the video, put a post up that I've just written a book, woohoo, your name, the picture of the book. I mean, it's so easy to put a picture and put it on Facebook or whatever. Just start in little areas and you'll soon gain the confidence you need.
Yeah, that's right. So in your experience, having been in that whole field for quite a long time, have you seen changes happening?
Oh, definitely.
Major what would be one really big one that you have experienced?
Really big changes. We no longer, we do. Sorry, that's not right. We have very, very few traditional publishers around us that will pay you. So when you go to any of the publishers that I have on my books, you get royalties, yes. You're not, let's just make it well and clear, you're not going to get super wealthy.
No, you're not going to get that $100,000 check at the beginning and then another million down the track in 6 months' time.
That's right, yeah. None of us have that sort of ticket, and unless you're discovered, and let's face it, it's on the cards. So what I do is I tell all my authors that, there are 3 basic things that with traditional publishing you were paid. They're very few and far between, Yeah. But they still are there, but they only choose the best of the best. So if your name's Dylan Thomas and you've made this huge movie and you've written the books to go with it, of course they're going to say, I will pay you because I've got your name on my books, and that makes me even well known. But, you know, your everyday publisher that's doing their job and doing a bit of marketing and getting your book out there so you can hold your baby in your hands, yeah, you end up, you pay for that privilege, but you also get the royalties. So in time, you know, I must admit that maybe I'm only just maybe getting enough money in so I can self-support my own little book writing thing that I do and bring a little bit of money in.
Yes, yes. I think that is what fiction writers often have as a, you know, it's a sideline. It's not their main, it's not
That's
their
right.
main profession or their main income.
Yeah.
So, because there is a lot there, a lot of
Oh, yeah.
competition as well. And,
Yes.
you know, and people, especially in that fast-paced world that we are in, people keep changing their taste, they change what they like. So while they might have been loving the genre you're writing in, for a while they change. So you're losing perhaps their support as well. That's a big thing.
You will gain groups. You will, if you're a paranormal, like I tried paranormal, 3 genres of different paranormal books. Now, I had a little following, but then I got sick of it.
Right.
I want to do something different now. So then I produced children's books, and then after about 3 of those, something else. And I love to experiment, and I love to, yeah, I guess the words experiment with different writing genres. There's nothing nicer than thinking I'm going to try something different. But you will get little groups that will follow you and say, well, when's the next paranormal book? Well, maybe in 2 or 3 years' time when I finish doing some other genre. You've got to be willing to experiment and widen your mind, and doing that is also accomplished through research.
So we really have to do the research to start with, you know,
Yes.
to really know what you're writing about, everything that's part of it, so that you're not writing something that is not true, or someone else can say and point the finger and say, well, that's not where it is or how it is.
Yeah.
So you have to do that. You need to have a look at, you know, what type of publishing is going to be the best for you and what path you're going to take, particularly in how to get the book out there, because that varies as well. There's a lot of different ways of doing that. And what's your guidance on when people go to book courses or take a course or something like that? I mean, they have all varying directions as well and give you lots of different tips from different areas. What would be your guidance? Is that a good idea or not such a good idea to do a book?
Fabulous idea.
It's a good
Fabulous.
idea.
Yeah. Go to your book courses. Learn. I mean, I believe TAFE runs a couple. I'm not too sure on that. I know a couple of years they did. So don't research it on me, people, because I'm not sure, but they used to. I find that anything that will add to your education of being a good writer is worthwhile. And let's face it, you don't have to follow their footsteps. You know, as you work towards being a writer, you will become really creative and your footsteps will start to matter then, because after all, it's your story.
Yeah, wonderful. Fantastic. I thank you for sharing your wisdom.
You're welcome.
Our particular fiction writers in this group here, and there's quite a few there, and I will send this video off to a particular one I have in mind. She is really loving to write and finds it really tricky to get that, you know, initial startup to publish. She's written and written, but it's that fear of, is it good enough? Well, you've got to just overcome that, don't you? Like you said.
It's hard.
Right.
It's hard when you know you're going to be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
But if you want to be a writer and you want to get out there, that's where you are.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kez, for sharing that with us. Now we will put some links below so that people can actually get in touch with you, contact you if they have any further questions. And thanks for being here and being interviewed, being so open. And you are a member in this group, so people can always tag you into their comments and posts as well.
Thank you so much, Sigrid. Lovely to be here.
Thanks, Kez.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.